Welcome one, welcome all to my book review of Ungifted by Gordon Corman. Now, before we begin, this review will be divided into two parts. The first part will be setting, plot, characters, what I liked about this book, and the second part will be what I did not like about this book and the review in general. Now, this is set in present-day New York City, and the main character is Donovan Curtis. Now, Gifted does not apply to this kid whatsoever. It's more like, don't try this at home. The dude's he's a troublemaker, he's a fiend, he doesn't care about anyone but himself, and when a prank of his badly backfires, he, instead of being expelled, is given a chance to go to a school that is for gifted kids. And by gifted, I mean genius-level kids or higher. But he's not gifted whatsoever, as you no doubt probably can realize. And if they find out, they will destroy him. So he has to hide the fact that he's not gifted from kids whose IQs are above genius level. It actually made for a pretty funny premise. I enjoyed the premise of this book. However, if we're going into Donovan Curtis's personal character, I feel like he was at times a little generic. I mean, him growing from beginning to end was actually one of the reasons I continued reading this book, but at certain times he seemed a little generic, like a troublemaker for the convenience of the plot, and that's not good. If we're moving on more character development towards the people who are in the gifted program, for example, there's only 3 of them that you really care about, which will be explained later, and I feel like he did kind of a slipshod job of explaining them. For example, the first one I'm going to talk about is Abigail Lee, and she hates Donovan on sight for no real reason, other than the fact that it helps advance the plot. And I guess she's smart, she's very smart, and she can kind of tell that Donovan does not really belong here, but even after he saves her a couple times, she still hates him. Absolutely hates him. Actually, the next character is a lot more closer to my heart, and his name is Noah Euclid. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But anyway, he is this absolute genius. He is the smartest guy in the building, hands down. His IQ is way above genius level, and he is absolutely miserable. He is absolutely miserable. He does not want to be a genius. He just wants to be a regular kid with a regular life. And he actually wants to get out of the gifted program to accomplish this. Don't ask me what that would accomplish, but I honestly thought he was an enjoyable character. He was funny, he was starting to develop a human personality, which made him kind of unpredictable, and he was a funny character to keep up with, and again, one of the reasons I continued to read this book. And the final character you care about in the gifted program is Chloe Garfinkel, and she's basically Donovan's love interest. She's not quite as smart as everybody else in the gifted program, and by not quite as smart, she's still extremely smart, but it's on a different scale. Anyway, so she has a lot more social skills than all the others, and like I said, the crush between Donovan and Chloe is not really expanded on, but you can tell it's there. And again, she was a very interesting character. She added depth to the gifted unit, which you only care about 3 people, and I will explain that later. And that's it. That's the gifted group. You only care about 3 people, and that kind of annoyed me to begin with, because you feel like there should be more. There should be people who are experts at mechanics, athletic ability, social standing, a person who could talk to Kim Jong-un or a terrorist cell and get what they want. So I kind of felt bad that didn't really happen. And if we're moving on to more adult setting characters, there was one adult that I couldn't stand, and it was Donovan's older sister. You get the feeling that she was kind of a cheerleader when she was in high school. She's kind of grown up, she's gotten married, and is about to have a baby, but she has moved back into her parents' house because her husband is a tent commander in Afghanistan. Honestly, I cared more about him, and he's only in about 3 pages in the book, than I did about the Kitty Patterson, Donovan's older sister. She's stupid. She's really stupid. She doesn't really care about anyone, and she hates smart kids. She doesn't think that they measure up as human beings. Although I do like what Gordon Corman did, and apparently she's dumber than her brother. That was a nice touch, but yeah, she was stupid. The adult characters were not really strong in my opinion. And I know I'm kind of going into things I don't like, but there were some things in this book that I did like. For example, I liked how they pitted the poor average kids to the smarter kids. For example, in Donovan's old school, the school's about to fall down, and nobody really cares about the people in it or the school. But in the academy, it's probably the nicest building in town. It kind of highlights the disparity between the smart people and the dumber people. And I liked how Gordon Corman did that. I liked how they kind of played the average kids against the smarter kids. And I also, honestly, like I said, I enjoyed the premise. I thought it was a very interesting premise. I thought that Gordon Corman did an okay job of bringing it to light. And honestly, some of the characters were indeed memorable. Donovan, though a bit generic at times, was still very interesting. Chloe and Noah added a bit of depth. Like I said, the adult cast, I can't really say a whole lot of that went on. And yeah, there's that. Alright, now going into some of the things I did not like, and forgive me for kind of spilling into the first part of the video, but there are some serious concerns I feel I should address, for one of which was the stereotyping of the gifted program. I couldn't stand it. For example, in the gifted program, there are no people who express any sort of creativity whatsoever. It's basically, Gordon Corman said that smart people can't be creative. Kind of an age-old stereotype, and one I personally don't think is true. For example, smarter people have to be the most creative people on Earth, because their job, at least most smart people's job, for example, if a person is a scientist or an engineer, is to be creative. They have to be the most creative people in the world because their job requires it. I personally, like I said, I couldn't stand the fact that none of the gifted people were creative enough. For example, one of the things that Donovan teaches them is how to steal a motor for a robot they are creating. And I was thinking to myself, I set it down and I was like, how come no one thought of this? I mean, I know they're goody two-shoes, but they're quite literally willing to kill over this robot. A heisted motor is just not really, it's not big, it's not relevant. And also, I didn't really like where some of the characters went. For example, the adult characters were not, they were not good. Katie Patterson was just, probably, I couldn't stand her. Like I said, the 8 people perspective that you get to see, because each chapter they flip perspectives, because apparently that's a thing now. You feel like they were created by the same person. They were more or less the same person, except for a slightly different use of words. And honestly, I didn't like that. I thought they needed to be each very different people with very different, word choices, very different perspectives on life. But no, it's more or less one person with 8 different, semi-different personalities. And honestly, to the rating, I will also split this into 2 parts. For a kid who is just kind of average and wants to read a good book, I would recommend this, but not unreservedly. So I would say this would be a good read, no other stimulants required. If you're a more gifted person, I would say that this might be a good read, if you're on stimulants or something else. And anyway, that is my review of Ungifted, and feel free to ask any questions you wish.